Malkit, you are on mute. Please can you unmute your mic?
I do apologize, I was on mute. Welcome to this breakout session. We focus on increasing wallet share with alliances built solutions. We are joined by 5 vendors with leading technologies for this high growth market. We have Vincent Uppel-Shelton, EU Distribution Channel Account Manager at Avaya, Matt Hurst, Senior Director, Global XCaaS Solutions at Ribbon, Ari Ray, Technology Alliances Manager, EMEA at CrowdStrike, Henrik Davison, Senior Director, Global Partner Strategy Programs and Enablement at Vectra, and Sid Vajpayee, Director, Business Development, Dscaler. We do have a packed agenda, so let's get right into it straight away. If you do have any questions or comments, please use the text chat window. If we can't respond to your questions right away, we will follow them on and come to you directly after the event. Vincent, over to you.
Great, thank you, Malk. How's everyone? That was a rhetorical question, obviously. Thanks for being here. I'm glad to be here. So my name is Vincent Uppel-Shelton. I'm responsible for Westcon sales in Europe for Avaya, and happy to give you an update today about our public cloud offering and how it's helpful for you, helpful for us, helpful for our customers. It's sort of a win-win-win situation, and we'll talk about the experiences that matter as we go through this this short presentation today. So for those of us that don't know Avaya, because obviously I'm aware that there's lots of variety of partners attending this event today. We are I would say a brand in the market around communications and contact centers that has been around for many years, more than 100 years even, right? So I think we have a lot of pedigree as a company. We are very present in most of the top 500, Fortune 500 companies. 9 out of the 10 sort of banks globally. It's sort of, I don't want to sort of go on too much about it, but it's the point being really is that the heritage is strong. And to that end, we have a lot of customers relying for their communications on Avaya. In the sense that we 14 million calls every minute of the day are relying on the Avaya technology. On top of that, we have a channel program which I think for 11 years has been received a 5-star rating from CRN as well. So all good. We definitely in particular this part of the world recognize the value that our partners deliver to the solutions and the sales we do. So I wanted to move on into just some high-level messaging here around the Avaya portfolio. So we have the Avaya One Cloud portfolio. That's sort of the overarching brand for our entire portfolio, really. And we kind of segment it into sort of 3 elements, which is around Avaya UCaaS or One Cloud UCaaS, and we'll go into that a little bit more in a second. Which is really focused around the future of digital workplace. I think it's been mentioned many times already, but the remote working, the home working, I guess we're getting into a situation where we're not necessarily going back to work to the office the way we were used to. We're gonna kind of evolve the way we work in a sort of a need a set of tools that create a sort of environment that enables us to do that. So instead of just being either just at home or just in the office, it's just a sort of a combination of all of the above. On the left hand side is Avaya One Cloud CCaaS. And it's more obviously around the customer interaction, but not only that, it's also about creating experiences for our customers that last, because that ultimately creates a level of customer intimacy that they want, right? And that will increase their wallet share with their customers. Yeah, and this is sort of broken down into a couple of different areas, which I'll highlight briefly. But the key thing to realize, I guess, is that we kind of coined the phrase the everything customer. Yeah, customers are fairly demanding nowadays. They choose how they choose to contact businesses. They choose how they want to receive information. So it becomes potentially very complex, and to see how that customer's journey happens and takes place. But with a sort of cloud-based solutions, you have sort of a wealth of infrastructure and compute that will enable that, as well as to make sure that the customers or the agent experience is also warranted, right? So that's sort of the two main areas. The sort of the force multipliers you can see here is Avaya CPaaS, communications platform as a service. It's just very much an environment for our partners also to develop applications and integrate into the Avaya CCaaS and UCaaS solutions, as well as offering some base level trunking services as well. Now, this is sort of underpinned by some of the multiple applications or cloud environments that we have in the industry with AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. So just on the UCaaS specifically, just to mention that a few years ago, Avaya started a strategic relationship with RingCentral. Out of that relationship, we've launched Avaya Cloud Office as a public UCaaS cloud solution. Avaya Cloud Office by RingCentral. So it's combining some of the strength of RingCentral and the strengths of Avaya into a cohesive solution for this market segment, and really benefiting from two R&D organizations working together and spending to innovate. Yeah, so it's from that point of view very robust. And the solution that we've then launched a couple of years ago was Avaya Cloud Office, and that Avaya Cloud Office sort of has a quarterly update, so it's continuously evolving. Yeah, but it's a pure public UCaaS solution. It's very secure, very robust. The uptime is 5.9, which is fairly unique in the industry. It's scalable, very small to very large, and actually on top of that, with Avaya Cloud Office, there's also this ability to tap into existing applications. That the integrations that are available out of the box with Avaya Cloud Office are second to none. Hundreds and hundreds are available, which means that there's other opportunities also for you to sell applications or to offer services to integrate applications into Avaya Cloud Office. Now, that's on the UCaaS side. On the CCaaS side, Avaya OneCloud CCaaS, we have a range of solutions, or one platform really, but it has a range of capabilities here that are sort of on one hand focused around the customer interaction, but also around the employee experience as well. So it doesn't really matter what channel it is, right? If it's voice or email or web chat, or even bring your own channel. If you want to bring in your own Facebook feeds, Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or anything like that, social media, that all the channels are sort of available as one cohesive solution in the Avaya OneCloud CCaaS. And there's some real clever stuff happening in the background, how we allocate resources, actions, and we're monitoring how the agents are performing and how the workforce is managed as well. So it becomes very fluid the way customers interact. So all these departmental silos are being broken down with the overall customer experience. And this obviously also integrates with Avaya Cloud Office as well as a solution, so you can have the front office, back office integrations. So from a recognition perspective in the industry, just good to point out, I mean, Avaya has been a market leader in contact center for 25 years, right? So there's lots of accolades here, but Aragon and Ventana is just two want to call out. There's a quiz on our virtual booth, so I just wanted to stress those two. So, but the point being is that we have a lot of credibility, from analysts, or from independent analysts, right? Not from our own basis, but from independent research and analysts that has taken place. Okay, so all this sort of culminates in a tagline for Avaya, where which is around experiences that matter. The reality is that we are defined as a vendor by the experiences that we create for our customers. We enable to create for our customers, with our partners, obviously. We connect people, we connect things, to try and create sort of immersive and memorable experiences for our customers. That will last and that will ultimately will drive value for our customers. Okay, now sort of shifting gears a little bit, because obviously this is fairly high level, but I want you to kind of take away from that we have good heritage, good solution set that's recognized in the industry. Now just wanted to touch really more on from a channel perspective, how do we kind of make this work, right? Because we all know that cloud is the future, but how can we monetize this in the best way? So firstly, I guess we need to recognize that the business model is changing, right? From a traditional sort of perpetual license hardware on-premise sort of model into a new model, which is more around software as a service and subscription. Delivering cloud services is different, right? Because the cloud services are delivered typically by the vendor, but there's other services that you can be wrapped around as well. So I'll talk about that in a second. But so whether your go-to-market is at the moment more on the left or more on the right, if it's more on the left, Avaya can help you move to the right. If you're already in that space, and you sell a lot of network and security cloud services, there's obviously easy add-on where you can sell Avaya UCaaS and CCaaS solutions as for incremental value, incremental wallet share, with relatively limited effort, right? Because Avaya as a vendor will support you, and Westcon as a distributor will support you in your activity. Or if you're somewhere in between, right? So it's probably most of you will probably be somewhere in between as you transition your customers over to the cloud. Now, how's it different with Avaya? So firstly, I think it's very important for everyone to realize, right? Also for people on Avaya to realize, right, that 90% of our business historically is done via the channel for many years now, right? I mean, I've been with Avaya for 25 years, and it's never been as channel centric as it is now. Not only that, we also recognize that we cannot do this alone, right? We recognize the need for you as a partner to collaborate, for us to collaborate with, because you know your market better than your local market better than we do. You know your customers better than we do, right? So that's really invaluable to us. So we're definitely committed to you to when we drive this into this changing world of cloud. From an Avaya's cloud solution perspective, we continue to build momentum. We have existing or our current UCaaS solution is available, in 13 countries, and it's growing. Continue to innovate. I mean, we have monthly updates, even on CCaaS, right? Every month we add more functionality and capabilities into the mix. We have many cloud customers already worldwide. Yeah, so continue to, we also take our customers, on that cloud journey with us as well. Yeah, so we lots of experience in doing so. Yeah, from a proof point perspective, we have not, from and the why Avaya is a winning vendor, right? We have like we showed earlier in the sort of high level slide, but we have a rich, complete solution set around or a cloud solution set, which covers both the UC and the contact center side, as well as the ability to develop applications that integrate into it. So it's very versatile. It can be deployed in very vertical centric manners. We continue to rely and invest in our partnerships and in our partners to help us accelerate the adoption of cloud into the market. More recently, in the last couple of years, we've invested heavily in and this is important in the cloud world to support customers, as they come on board, right? So it becomes a very sort of white glove treatment experience, as we do that migration with all the tools that we have at our disposal. So it's we have a client success team that actually helps us do that. That's additional sort of value that we can offer to end users. Now, so how can we monetize your customer, right? With the move to cloud, and I really want to continue to stress that as this customer transitions to the cloud, your customer remains your customer. The cash flow may change, or maybe some of the interactions change on how where Avaya fits versus the partners, but it's we can help with this transition. And obviously we offer rich incentives, upfront cash incentives, for bringing customers into the cloud. There's ongoing lucrative commissions. You can continue to upsell, additional products and services, devices, mainly from an Avaya perspective. We have obviously telephones, cameras, huddle room solutions. So there's lots of things to sell, right? It's not only about the service; it's everything around the service as well that will increase your wallet share with your customer. And there's nothing stopping you from continuing to offer the consulting, the implementation, I think there's in particular, when it comes to cloud, that there's maybe some sort of adoption or success. I know Salesforce uses success managers to get customers to actually adopt the cloud solutions in the proper way, so they get the most benefit out of it, right? So that's the kind of a service wrap you can build around. Implementation is also available, provided that you have that you're certified. And for the really savvy ones amongst us, there's also third-party applications that you can have, that you can integrate into, or that you can develop, to create more value, or create very specific vertical messaging and plays, that will resonate with your customers. So just to kind of then wrap it up, because I know I'm nearly at the end of my slots. So we have obviously a very comprehensive solution set. It scales from small to large. It's very reliable, resilient. We have lots of application integration options. It's globally available. In particular, the CCaaS solution, is very widely available. In 50 odd countries or so globally, so plenty for us to sink our teeth into. We have a range of devices, analytics capabilities as well. So I hope that I've managed to get a few things across with you today. I do wanted to remind people and advertise the fact that there's a follow-up webinar that's planned for the 6th of April. So when you go away from here, please register for that. And we have Steve Forkham lined up to present at that session as well. He's a sort of a chief evangelist for Avaya globally. So that should be a fantastic session for you to attend. Please don't forget to visit the virtual booth and enter the prize draw for some goodies. We have 26 prizes available for all those that are registered, and we'll pick them out of the hat later this week. Yeah, so just to finalize then, I do hope I managed to at least get across that Avaya is a very credible UCaaS and CCaaS public cloud vendor on a worldwide stage. We are, and the fact that we realize our success is very much aligned with your success. And we want to work with you and continue to work with you to make that successful. Okay, so with that, thank you very much for your time, and I will hand it over back to Malcolm.
Thank you, Vincent. Very insightful. And with that, let me now hand over to Matt Hurst, Senior Director, XCaaS Solutions at Ribbon.
Hi, Malcolm. Just check you can see and hear me all okay?
Absolutely, Matt.
Fantastic, good stuff. And you can see the slide deck, and I will make a start. So, good, yes, afternoon, everybody. Depending on where you are in the world, it may be morning, I guess, still. As Malcolm said, my name is Matt Hurst. I head up our technical team for our Ribbon Cloud as a Service solutions. So I'm going to take you through some slides today, and we're going to look at a number of different things. And I think the important pieces to look at, first of all, is to actually look at what's happening in the market, both from the partner and the channel perspective, but also what enterprises are doing and how enterprises are behaving very differently these days to how they have traditionally done in the past. So if we look at market research, this is from TSIA. If we look at the trajectory of where things are going for the channel, it's clear from this data and a number of different data points that managed services and reselling additional value-added services and cloud-based X as a service solutions is growing in the channel and in the enterprise space. On the decrease is the traditional model of selling software licenses, hardware, and maintenance that go with this. So what we can see from the diagram in the top right here is that really enterprises are shifting from the mentality of owning and operating their own infrastructure. They've moved from that into outsourcing their IT to third-party companies in the channel. They're now really moving into the third stage of moving truly into cloud consumption-based models. So not just outsourcing, but actually pay-as-you-go cloud consumption. So the channels we're seeing are also evolving to obviously meet those needs for the enterprises, moving from becoming a traditional reseller to a value-added reseller, managed services provider, to what can be termed a cloud broker, actually taking different as-a-service modules from different providers and wrapping them and building a service for your customers as they want to consume it today, which is that cloud as-a-service consumption model. So the data is clear. And the way Ribbon are here to support you as partners in that journey is to be able to offer you a flexible degree of our solutions to meet you in the market and meet your customers in the market where they are. So deployment options of the Ribbon solutions range from, on the very left, traditional hardware-based platforms for on-premises integration, which are still a key requirement for a lot of customers where they're trying to move off of legacy infrastructure and they need a phased migrated approach. That is still relevant. Maybe not as relevant as it was a few years ago, but it is still a relevant element. Then we move into virtualized solutions. And we'll look at this in a little bit more on the next slide, in fact, how Ribbon have gone around their virtualization story and what our virtualized SBCs look like compared to the hardware platforms and where we've taken that over the last few years. So there is the virtualized instances of the software, which you can obviously then host on commercial off-the-shelf servers in a private data center or in public cloud environment. But then as we move further across into more and more of the cloud solutions, we have offerings which you would term network infrastructure as a service. So we can offer you, and we'll look at details around this, we'll offer you the Ribbon SBC solutions in a monthly MRR model for you to build services out to your customers based in your own choice of cloud infrastructure. And then on the far right-hand side, we're going to touch on in a couple of slides' time the Ribbon Connect for Microsoft Teams Direct Routing solution, which is a full SaaS cloud consumption model. So the Ribbon solutions really have evolved to be able to offer you as a partner everything from traditional hardware through to full SaaS solutions that you can consume from the cloud. So firstly, looking at the Ribbon solutions, just to touch on this, I mentioned it a moment ago. Ribbon have been in the business of session border controllers and providing that security and that interop exchange point between different voice environments for many, many years. We have evolved our solutions from being proprietary sort of chassis-based solutions through to software virtualized that can sit on COT servers, through to the public cloud, and supporting a range of different public cloud providers, as well as different technologies such as OpenStack, Kubernetes, containers, etc. And now on the far right-hand side, our solutions are designed specifically for that cloud consumption elasticity with things like Kubernetes, CI/CD, continuous improvement, continuous development, and DevOps. So the Ribbon SBCs truly are cloud native, and it's not just happened overnight. We have been evolving our software-based stack solutions for many years. So when, as a partner, if you're working with your customers and you're looking at the choice of UC solutions, there is a world of different UC solutions out there. A lot of customers will have either already made a choice, or maybe through mergers and acquisitions, they've got a choice of 2 or 3, or they've got an established relationship with 2 or 3 different vendors. And they have solutions which could be premise-based, they could be cloud-based. But fundamentally, the market is very crowded with different types of UC solutions. And the challenge for an enterprise and for you as a partner to help your customers is, how do I connect my voice into these different environments? How can I connect my voice and support my customers, whichever journey they go on, whichever platform they choose? And how do I do that in a simplistic way? That is what Ribbon is all about. It's helping you keep it simple. Helping keep your solutions simple for your customers so you can offer a voice integration and a security platform integration for voice integration to any of the UC platforms. So we don't mind, and you don't mind as a partner, whether your customer's chosen an Avaya solution and a Microsoft Teams solution, or if they're using some BroadSoft and perhaps Zoom Phone. We don't care. The solutions we provide will enable you to connect all of those elements together and bring voice to all of those different either premise-based or cloud-based solutions. So playing catch up in the comms network. As I said, the market has evolved a great deal over the last few years. We see a real mix now of UC solutions, both on-premise based UC solutions and cloud-based UC solutions. There is a mixture and myriad of both infrastructure, on-premises based and cloud-based. There are a different mix of session border controllers, firewalls, IPX solutions, and obviously there's a world of choice of different telecom providers. So the thing I would ask you as a partner is, are your tools, your processes, and indeed your workforce and your technical team keeping pace to make sure that you can offer solutions that provide that service assurance, the security, and ultimately the end user experience for your customers, no matter which way they go? The pandemic has changed the UC landscape. It's absolutely clear, and you need to keep pace with the market as it is shifted very, very rapidly. Microsoft Teams here is a case in point. They're obviously not the only UC player, but some of the numbers we've all seen in the market has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of the growth over the last 2 years. I think what it is proven as a data point, as well as other solutions from like Avaya and Cisco and Zoom, etc., is that enterprises with their traditional on-premise PBX solutions are looking to evolve much faster than they were planning to a few years ago. The PBXs on-premise are less relevant. To note, though, a lot of enterprises do still have business processes and functions tied in around those PBXs. So we need to be conscious of that, and we need to help them evolved from that, and they're tied in business processes to the new solution. But fundamentally, the PBX is on premises with pieces of plastic sat on the desk that employees would come in and sit and use all day. It's no longer relevant. The employees are no longer at those desks, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So CIOs and CFOs are looking to outsource more and more. And as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, enterprises are looking much more at consuming cloud-based as-a-service models. So the evolution's clear, and you need to be keeping up with the pace of the market change. So if we look at Teams as an example, a Teams journey for your customer. If you're a newbie partner into this space, maybe you don't have a great deal of experience with Teams or with session border controllers or a lot of the technical detail that goes into making this all work, you don't perhaps have that experience in setting up SBCs or the Microsoft Teams voice elements. What Ribbon can offer you with our direct routing as a service offer is a way that with just a few clicks through a GUI-based Ribbon portal, you're able to enable team service and voice into a customer's team service in as little as 10 minutes. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about how this works with our Ribbon Connect for Microsoft Teams direct routing solution, but fundamentally it's a solution that is bring your own carrier and bring your own license. You as a partner will fundamentally be able to just sell this cloud-based SaaS service to your end customers. There is no minimum commit on duration or on the number of users. So you could enable a customer with as little as like 1 or 2 seats of this service, and they can see how it goes, and then they can expand, and you have full control of that via the portal. So looking a little bit more detail about the Ribbon Connect for Microsoft Teams direct routing. This is a fully cloud-based SaaS service from Ribbon, available to you as partners to, as I say, resell to your end customers. The concept is, through the cloud service, we can interconnect on the left-hand side here, SIP trunks into the carrier of choice for the customer. We also have the option for having registration into an existing PBX. So if a customer has an existing PBX they want to bring on board and migrate over a period of time, we can offer that interconnect as well. And on the right-hand side, we provide the secure connectivity with all the certificates and things into the Microsoft Teams environment. And we provide a full end-to-end workflow portal to provision the service. So it's fully secure. As I say, it's all cloud-based, and there is no requirement for you as a partner to have session border controller knowledge, nor the PowerShell knowledge to configure all of the Teams side. So if we look at the provisioning flow, through the UI portal as a partner, you can configure the service for your customer. You configure the SIP trunk or the PBX integration points. You then move on to synchronizing the service for your customer with their Teams tenant. The service will then download the user info. You then allocate the phone numbers to the users, and you push the configuration back to Teams. It's as simple as that. So that's our Ribbon Connect for Microsoft Teams direct routing SaaS service. It's available, as I say, now. You can have as a partner a demo environment, so you can run some tests yourselves, and then no commitments to sign up any minimum number of users or term. So that's one example of the SaaS services that Ribbon have got on offer. The other thing I wanted to touch on is helping our partners on their journey with their customers in a number of other different ways. So you as a partner are building services and contracts with your customers. You're wrapping support around it as a key part of your offering to your customers. What we're able to offer with the Ribbon solutions is the ability to interconnect to any type of platform, able to interconnect to also any operator or carrier of choice, and then also bring in the different things such as the endpoints and the headsets and things. And the Ribbon components you can either buy as a traditional CapEx, or you can have as a monthly recurring revenue. So Ribbon are really enabling our partners to focus on capturing your customers, increasing your revenue and your stickiness with your customers, and then choosing either a CapEx or an as-a-service consumption model for the Ribbon elements that bring all those pieces together. And on top of that, what I call kind of the enhanced Ribbon partner, it's really leveraging our infrastructure, platform, software as a service solutions to provide additional capabilities on top of just providing the SIP connectivity. So your customer can bring a PSTN trunk in and connect it to their Zoom or via Teams Cisco environment, but also using our as a service offerings to add and layer on additional value to your customers. So a couple of examples are our managed services, the RAMP, Ribbon Managed Service Platform. So we can look after, or you can as a partner, look after all of your customers' infrastructure, zero-touch provisioning, upgrades, license management. We have our Ribbon Analytics platform combined with Ribbon Protect and the Identity Hub, which can all layer on additional value services to your customers. So providing deeper insights into how their services are performing, not just configuring the voice circuits and giving it to your customer and saying, yeah, good luck, give us a call if there's anything wrong. Using analytics and Protect and things like Identity Hub enables you to upsell to your customers and provide them insight into things that maybe they didn't know were happening in their network. Maybe a customer is perhaps getting targeted with some toll fraud. Perhaps they're getting lots of robocalling in certain offices they weren't aware of. So by layering on those additional value adds, you can give your customers far richer insight into how their services and how their networks are performing, giving you, basically improved customer experience. Now, I just wanted to also look at other as-a-service offerings we have for our partners to enable you to build up these offerings for your customers. So one of which is our infrastructure as a service, SBC as a service. So fundamentally what this is, it enables you to obtain the Ribbon session border controllers, the software edition virtualized session border controllers. You can then build your infrastructure for your customers and design it in as part of a managed service offering for your customers. But you will pay for that session border controller on an MRR model. So again, fully flexible, you can interconnect that SBC into any UC or any legacy PBX platform the customer may have. The system is not limited by any type of licensing. So capacity-wise, you could run that session border controller up to the capacity of the compute that you base it on. It's a very, very simple billing model. There's kind of one SKU basically for all the different elements you configure. You just pay for how many of those you're configuring and consuming month to month. So no more license keys, no sort of purchase orders to raise to increase the capacity of a session border controller. And you can deploy as many of these as you want to build the service for your customer. So it really enables you as a partner to build your SaaS offering to your customers and aligning your financial commitment to Ribbon on the same level. So you will be paying as a service as your service grows to your customers. You're increasing your revenue. You're then paying on the usage of the session border controller on the same method. So that's another way of supporting our partners to help you build additional revenue streams. So kind of in summary, really, the key partner benefits that Ribbon want to bring is solutions that enable you as a partner to get going with services, either infrastructure as a service or full cloud-based SaaS offerings with no upfront costs, no infrastructure options. So you have the ability to just use full 100% cloud-based solutions to deliver these to your customers, and options that also have no people skills. So moving away from the complexity of having to do PowerShell or configure SBCs, if you currently don't have that skill set in-house, we have solutions based in the cloud that enable you to get going without that. And I think the most crucial thing as partners is time to market. The market is moving much, much faster than any of us could have anticipated 2 or 3 years ago. So the flexibility to have things available to you as a partner that you can get going to market with immediately without the need to have to upskill or employ people or train people, etc., to a great extent, enables you to capture more of the market now and help your customers on that journey. So you can start to drive new markets, new revenue streams, with those as a service offerings without huge investments. And really, I think the key is we have to support our customers on their journey, and it is a journey, no matter which choice they make or which route they choose to take. And quite often we find with enterprises, they don't just make one choice, they may make 2 or 3 choices and build their solution around 2 or 3 different cloud UCaaS platforms. So being able to support your customer whichever way they go, and if they change over time, is really the critical point. Okay, that brings me to the end of the slides, Malkit. So with that, I'll kind of hand it back to you.
Thanks, Matt. Really insightful. Thank you so much. And with that, let me hand over to Ari, Henrik, and Sid.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
And,
How are you guys? Over to you three. Ari, I think you're going first.
I am. I'm going to kick it off for everyone today. Let me go ahead and let's see. Looks like this screen is sharing out. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with a couple of introductions here. So I am Ari Ray. I am the theater head for Tech Alliances for CrowdStrike. I cover EMEA and Meta as my region. I work very closely with Sid and Henrik, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to them for their intros as well. And also triage the slides right now because they're not changing for me. Go ahead, Sid.
Thanks a lot, Ari. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm part of the Zscaler business development team, and I work very closely with our strategic technology alliance partners like CrowdStrike, like Vectra across EMEA and APJ. Henrik?
Yes, thank you, Sid and Ari. My name is Henrik Davidson, and I head up Vectra's global partner strategy, our programs, and partner enablement. I've been with the company for 3 years and also working a lot with our Tech Alliance partners as they're part of our go-to-market partner strategy. So looking forward to this session. Over to you, Ari.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I am still having issues with changing the slides out. So I might go ahead and, oh, there we go. Now it's working for us. Excellent. So we've gone ahead and done the introductions. Again, thank you for everyone. The next slide is going to take us over to the CrowdStrike bit here, which is somewhat important, I think. I don't know if you guys know, there's a cyber war going on. And so there's a lot of work that that our companies, CrowdStrike, Vectra, and Zscaler have been doing, both with our customers and internally to make sure that everyone's safe. And so if we can go ahead to the next slide. What I'm going to talk about today is going to lead us into the rest of the presentation with Sid and with Henrik today. So CrowdStrike, we stop breaches. We're one of the foremost cybersecurity companies in the world today. What we do is we stop breaches using our own technology. But most importantly, and in this new developing world, especially with cybersecurity threats on the rise, Falcon XDR is one of our newest offerings. And what this does is allows for CrowdStrike to do what we do best, stopping breaches on the endpoint, working with our partners. We're able to do a lot more. When we say we stop breaches, it's not only CrowdStrike that's stopping these breaches. It's our ecosystem. It's our best-in-class partners. It's Zscaler. It's Vectra. And it's these folks that we're working with today. So going into the next slide, just so you guys kind of understand what the XDR value add is really. Security teams today, so for those of you who resell into network security or just cybersecurity teams generally, a lot of teams, almost every team in the world, frankly, struggles with understanding what their detections are, how big the attack surface is, where did these hits happen? And the majority of solutions today in cybersecurity are siloed. They're not able to cross over. And for those of you who've ever played rugby or another sport where you go up in line, you don't want to have gaps in your defense ever. What you want to do is make sure that you have as strong of a defense system as possible, as few gaps as possible, and you want to make sure that your systems are interlaced, they're overlapping, so you have redundancies. And I think it's very important to keep that in mind as we go on to our next couple of slides here. So moving on to what it is that we're doing beyond the endpoint. So obviously we're able to ingest as much data as you're seeing here. There's a bunch of different things that you have to look through. I know the previous speakers were talking about secure comms. That's just as important as what it is that we're doing here. And in fact, it pertains to what we're doing here. That's information that we're also ingesting. And so from that information that we're taking in, our system is able to go through, parse out the data, understand what's going on. We give context enrichment. We're able to correlate what's going on, cross-correlate it, making sure that it's the correct information that we have. And then from there, you're able to prioritize what it is that you need to be working on, triage what it is that's happening, determine, is this of the utmost priority, or is there another thing that my team needs to do, and go from there. But there's also an automation aspect to it. And Henrik, if you could go to the next slide. This is why at its core, this is the best XDR solution, I think, that's out there. We're working, like I said, with our best-in-class partners. We have world-class scaling and management, not only of our systems, but our partners do as well. That's why we work with them. And again, it's a unified detection and response. So it's not you have to go through 5 different panes of glass. We're getting emails, Slacks, text messages, whatever. Everything is pulling through into one pane of glass, to use the old adage, right? A pane of glass for everything. But what it is actually allowing people to do is free up time and really get ahead of the proactive part of cybersecurity, which frankly rarely ever happens just because of the amount of work that people have to do. So it's flexible ingestion of data. It's flexible in terms of what the output is, but most importantly, it's a purpose-built integration that allows for these workflows to come straight out of the box with our Crowd XDR Alliance, and helps us to work with folks like Sid over at Zscaler. I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Sid.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Ari. If you could go to the next slide, please. Keep moving, Henrik. If you could go to the Zscaler piece. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Henrik. I'll just start off by giving a quick overview of Zscaler. So Zscaler was started with the goal of helping companies secure their digital transformation. We understand how important our partners are, whether you're from the service provider, system integrator, or the reseller space. And it was about 14 years ago when we pioneered a cloud-based platform to help securely connect users, applications, and devices over any network. Over these 14 years, we have learned how to operate and scale a cloud to deliver high performance and resiliency. You'll see on the slide that as of today, we are a trusted partner with over 500 of the Forbes Global 2000 customers. Our cloud processes more than 140 billion requests across 150 data centers across the world. Here's a fun fact. The Zscaler cloud processes 10 times more the number of global Google searches every day. So imagine how much time you spend on Google looking for something. And then if you look at what Zscaler is doing, it's 10x that. So we want to make sure we can help your customers protect the users, applications, and data. One of the things that we are very proud of is that we've been recognized as a market leader by Gartner, as has CrowdStrike and Vectra. We've been a leader in the Magic Quadrant for the last 11 years. Last month in February, Gartner published their first ever Security Service Edge Magic Quadrant. And you will see that we've been positioned highest in the ability to execute. And the reason why this is great is because it enables us to deliver value to you so that you can take it to your customers and help them undergo on this digital transformation journey. I'm going to give 3 examples here, which we like to quote. GE, they were able to use Zscaler to improve the user experience by 80%. NOV, they were able to reduce the amount of infected machines by 35x when they moved to security on the cloud with Zscaler. And Siemens, the large German company, who reduced their network infrastructure costs by 70% when they eliminated point solutions and network infrastructure. In each of these 3 examples, it was our partners. It was either a service provider, a system integrator, or a reseller who worked very closely with us and our customers to help them adopt our solutions and embark on this journey. Could we go to the next slide, please? The reason why we're relevant is we are helping customers move away from a data-centric approach. If you look at how the network is architected, if you go back 5 or 10 years ago, you would see that it would have a traditional hub and spoke model, what you see on the left-hand side. Users would typically come into the offices and they would be using company-issued infrastructure to access applications which were typically hosted in an on-prem facility. But fast forward to 2022, the pandemic has helped accelerate a new way of working these days. The network is becoming more and more internet enabled. Users are now increasingly choose to work from anywhere. Applications have either migrated completely to public cloud or are in the process of doing so. And users are using increasing number of smart devices to access the applications. So in this new world, we need a new approach. And this is where Zscaler comes in. Next slide, please. On our Zero Trust Exchange platform, we have 3 comprehensive areas to offer solutions to customers. Under modern workplace enablement, we help customers securely work from anywhere. And while you're doing that, make sure that the users have an optimum user experience, irrespective of whether they're trying to access an external application like Office 365 or Salesforce.com, or just plain vanilla web browsing. Similarly, when the users are trying to access an internal application, it could be hosted in a public cloud environment or in a hybrid environment, we want to make sure that their security posture is maintained, cyber threats are excluded, and this is where our partners like CrowdStrike and Vectra play a huge important part. And my colleague Henrik is going to tell you how we do that in the subsequent slides. And finally, once customers have adopted the solution, you can actually go to them and help them improve their ROI by transforming their network, helping them improve their branch connectivity and their cloud connectivity, and helping them remove point solutions from their on-prem data centers. Next slide, please. One more. What I'm going to talk about next is some of the value proposition and the positioning themes that we have with CrowdStrike specifically, and then Henrik will do the same from a Vectra standpoint. Now, both Zscaler and CrowdStrike have enabled or built cloud-native industry-leading solutions, which enable secure end-to-end security. So by working together with CrowdStrike, we can protect the endpoint, we can protect the application, and also the transit in between. Now, this is great because when you go to a customer, you can actually read out word by word the elevator pitch that we have on this slide, which is making sure that we can help them get real-time value, get a real-time view, and ensure that the security posture is protected at all times. Next slide, please. I'm going to quickly talk about 4 integrations that we have, and then I'll follow it up with a customer reference. The first one is posture-driven access control for our applications. Both Zscaler and CrowdStrike have small lightweight agents, which we deploy to check if the user, when they're using a device, has the right security posture. And depending on the score that comes out, we can then enable them to access the applications. You can see on the left-hand side, these could be either critical internal or external applications, or on the right-hand side, it could be when they're doing some web browsing. From a customer benefit standpoint, by extending the zero trust access control, not just from the specific user's endpoint, but all the way to the app and the transit in between, we are helping them not just improve the security posture, but helping reduce the attack surface. And this is done in a real-time manner. So from an IT administration standpoint, if you are rolling this out for your customers, then you can offer a value-added service by helping customers monitor this and manage it on an ongoing basis. A lot of our partners who have created managed offerings or in the process of creating a managed offering between Zscaler and CrowdStrike value this integration than the others. Next slide, please. I especially like this one because here, what we do when we work together with CrowdStrike is to enable advanced threat detection. So you will see that the hackers and the bad actors are always trying to create new ways in which to carry out breaches, data exfiltration, and compromise a customer's integrity of their platform and the solutions. Now, by working together, we are able to identify day zero threats, detonate them in a safe sandbox environment, and depending on the outcome, if it is a malicious threat, we are able to propagate that information, not just to that particular endpoint, not just to the other endpoints in the customer's environment, but across the entire Zscaler and CrowdStrike platform so that other customers can also benefit from this information. And what this allows us to do is rapidly deploy our capabilities and our findings across the entire globe. So any customer who is benefiting from Zscaler or from CrowdStrike solutions can take advantage of this service. Next slide, please. Ari already spoke about the XDR Alliance, and we are very proud to be part of that alliance. From a customer benefit perspective, the key bit that I want you to take away from this is increased visibility. Now, as you start to deploy more and more point solutions, customers, especially administrators, tend to struggle with end-to-end visibility. But the partnership that we have with CrowdStrike enables you to offer a single pane view to customers. Now, they can see everything that's happening on the endpoint. They can see anything that is happening on the network. They can see how the applications are reacting, how the users are trying to access them. And all of this comes with full telemetry and intelligence sharing. So this is another capability which our partners like because they can create offerings and also embed this into their solutions. Next slide, please. Threat intel sharing. Now, a lot of companies will come and say that they have the best threat intelligence sharing platform. The reality is there's not a single company who has the best solution. Everybody works together to improve the threat posture for our customers together. And this is where we work very closely with CrowdStrike to exchange threat intelligence to make sure that we can prevent breaches from happening in the first place. The way this works is when we get an API call from CrowdStrike about a specific threat intel, we can create specific custom block lists. These are then pushed out into the endpoint and also onto the device, where you can then carry out URI screening, domain screening, blocking of IP, etc., or any other malicious threats. And again, this happens at scale. So if this is happening for one particular customer in a specific geography on a specific endpoint, we can propagate that across the Zscaler and the CrowdStrike clouds. Next slide, please. This is my last slide before I pass on to my colleague Henrik. A case study from Eric Hart, who's the CISO at Cushman & Wakefield. And they were struggling with this very specific use case. When the employees started to work in a work from anywhere or a remote manner, they were not able to get the same security controls as they would have received if they were working from the office. And by working very closely with CrowdStrike, we could ensure that one, there's a single consistent security policy which gets enforced in a very seamless, resource-less manner, so that users have the same experience irrespective of whether they're sitting in an office or working from home. Now, the way we did this was Zscaler provides the security for all of the branch offices, which enable the customer to remove point-specific solutions, VPN backhauling solutions from their IT estate. And CrowdStrike came in and provided Cushman & Wakefield with their market-leading endpoint security and response solution. There were like tens and thousands of devices which were immediately protected, and the IT administrators were able to confirm that everybody then had the same security policy. Now, what this did was it reduced the attack surface. It made sure that when users were trying to access applications, they had the right level of security controls in place. And when threats did come in from an external environment, then they were tested or detonated in a safe sandbox type environment. And then remedial action could be taken if it was deemed as malicious. And what this allowed Cushman and Wakefield to do was automate a lot of the security and the IT infrastructure tasks that they had been doing manually. That resulted in significantly improved user experience, that resulted in significantly increased cost savings. On that note, Henrik, I'm going to pass over to you and explain how Vectra is enabling us in the field and bring it home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sid. So I'm going to talk a bit more about how you as a partner can help increase your wallet share within your customer base. That's sort of the baseline of the presentation. And it builds on everything that both Ari and Sid has been going through here. And just to start with a little bit more about Vectra as a company and where we're coming from. So we've been around since 2012, starting in the network detection and response area. And we're now striving to be the world leader in threat detection and response and help contextualizing data using real AI across on-prem, cloud, and SaaS footprints, and then helping organizations by integrations and other means to take timely actions in response to those threats. This is obviously a large endeavor we're on, but we also see that this is starting to pay off a lot with how we're helping customers and also how we're helping partners to be more relevant. A key area that I think we see with every customer and truly what is value for you as a partner is around the different technologies customers are operating today in order to mitigate threats, start detecting them more regularly, is the fact that there's a lack of integrations between the different technologies. I think this is really what Ari, Sid, and myself are now trying to talk about is once you start creating that holistic cyber defense architecture, when you start creating the right type of integrations across the different domains, across endpoint, across the network, the modern hybrid network, when we start looking at web access points, etc., all those things combined means that you're able to build a more holistic view, and you can help your customer drive more of a cyber maturity as part of that. So I think the first pillar that I normally talk to our partners around is truly around this wallet share piece. That when you start creating these integration, it truly helps you to be more relevant within your customer base rather than talking around a point technology or a point vendor per se. And given the way the world is progressing right now, the partner opportunity is truly there to start creating these intersections and more value for the end customer in the end of the day. The second bucket is around profitability. And I think here, first of all, we know that our technology is Vectra, and I'll touch on that briefly in the coming slide. But when you have a very high efficacy in the technology, pinpointing you to what truly is needed to be reacted on, it helps you to start catering for more customers, for example, with the same amount of resource you have if you're providing a managed service. It also helps the customer to offload, if they're managing it themselves, their own resources as well, to start actually spending time on what needs to be spent time on. But if you also tie everything here together as a holistic defense architecture, it's a great opportunity for you as a partner to do margin and service stacking, where you can add these different technologies, you can add adjacent services on top of that. And we have some great examples where there's been more or less a 5x multiplier effect on the technology sales for the partner, where there's a fantastic margin opportunity and the pull through of additional services, either vendor led or partner delivered. There's a massive opportunity for you to run after here in terms of the profitability aspect. When you combine these things, it truly helps you to be more and more in a position of creating more innovation and differentiation within the customer. It also helps you to cement your position as a trusted advisor. I spend a lot of time with partners and interviewing them, talking with them, coaching them. And I think more as everyone is telling me that, hey, I'm the trusted advisor within my customer. That's fantastic. But at the same time, I also see a lot of examples where a customer is going out with an RFP, for example, and the partner then actually just want to adhere to what the customer is asking for. At the same time, a lot of customers are actually having a desire to be sold to and to be taught. If you just deliver what they're expecting, you're anticipating that the customer knows more about cybersecurity, for example, than what you do. A trusted advisor really needs to help and coach the customer. I think that's a fantastic opportunity for you to leverage this ecosystem of security vendors that are focusing on creating these intersections, integrations with each other. That is a fantastic opportunity for you to help optimize your customers' budgets. And I will give you an example around that later on here as well, but also to help them augment their cyber maturity and for you to truly provide innovation to your customer. So with that, some of Vectra's use cases, and this is just an example of where you can start. We're talking a lot about areas such as supply chain attacks. In 2020 we had the SolarWinds attack. We've had a lot of ransomware attacks, which is obviously something critical as well that we're seeing, and I'll spend a bit more time on that one too. You can go after network or cloud assessments. Digital forensics and IR is another area. A key area when you start talking around potential attacks is to understand the full attack surface. Do you have the right type of coverage across on-prem, cloud, and SaaS? And the problem we often see now is when attackers are progressing from on-prem into a SaaS application, or they literally don't hack anymore. They normally just log in. And that pivots back into the whole conversation around privileged account access, for example. So how are you doing those things? Lastly, it's all about the SOC 2.0 in terms of how you start creating stronger integrations between technologies like the EDR approach, sitting on the endpoint, and what Vectra provides as an NDR type of solution. These values are truly instrumental for driving more innovation, more profitability, more efficacy into SOC operations, and we'll touch on that briefly as well. So looking at the anatomy of a ransomware and ransom ops type of attack, Vectra's approach is truly to stop the attack before an attacker is able to action on the objectives. For example, exfiltrate data, launch the ransomware attack. As long as we can stop the attacker from executing those objectives, no actual or real harm is done. This is all under the assumption of assuming breach, that you will get breached at some point. So this is all the key elements around what needs to happen. So if you think about how, when we talk about covering all the attack surface, we're talking about new log pipelines and new data pipelines. We have a heritage coming from the network, but we're now looking at more the combination of on-prem, cloud, and SaaS. We're looking at both packets and a bit of logs. And the stance we have is truly coming from security research. This is the forte, if you will, around the heritage in Vectra, that we have a lot of PhD students looking after security research about understanding the attacker behaviors that are going on and how they operate and what the kill chain normally looks like, what are the different techniques they use, and how they operate. On the other side, we have a lot of data scientists, and what they do is they help to codify using supervised, unsupervised, and deep learning models. When they codify those attacker behaviors, and we literally then we get a security analyst in software that is focusing on the real-time type of detections. And I think the key thing here is that it actually covers the on-prem, cloud, and SaaS elements as such. So I want to spend a bit of time now talking around the impact of actually working together, because it's not just about single vendors doing their thing. I think the true value for you as a partner is truly when we can tie this in together and you have a comprehensive solution offering for your end customer as well. So the two area buckets here is, the stance with this is when you start combining radically different and highly specialized perspectives, you can create truly an optimal type of threat hunting combination. Meaning, on the left here, you see the NDR on the top, for example, looking and scanning at all the different types of network traffic. whilst the EDR approach means you can go really deep on the endpoint and understand exactly what happens on the endpoint. The combination of the two is a great way of actually creating a automated approach for threat hunting capabilities, and also augmenting the cyber defense maturity of your end customer without the need of creating manual logs and those type of things, which actually is quite an onerous process in many ways. You also have the example here of how you can create and leverage more of a zero trust exchange using Zscaler and a Vectra integration as well, where we have the right type of application connectors, and you combine both the on-prem remote workers and the cloud journey here as well. So all these things combined actually means that you can start creating a really good scenario for threat hunting and cyber maturity within your customer base. And then I want to talk around a specific anonymous end customer, but the interesting thing with this one here that it started off with a partner receiving an RFP, and they were 1 out of 5 partners responding to this RFP. The original scope was a managed CM, and that was a request of a 3+ terabyte Splunk cloud license. That was the basis of the conversation. And I want to go back to what I mentioned before about challenging the customer a bit and moving the needle in terms of how you can create stronger solutions for the end customer. In that RFP process, there were 2 sessions to discuss the requirements, the customer expectations. And the partner in this process was actually able to convince them that maybe it's not the best thing for you to go down the path of a pure CM-based approach as a service. If you would then combine a network-based detection like Vectra, combined with an EDR like CrowdStrike, and then the Zero Trust Access approach with Zscaler, you actually have a better solution that was a lot less expensive than the actual original approach. So they combined Vectra with a smaller, much smaller CM, but that was used more for the correlation of the events. So I'll just talk around here. Some of the reasoning here that you have is cyber attackers can normally be detected in 3 different ways. You use logs, which is a classic way of doing it. You combine it on the EDR side or the NDR side. Those are what Gartner defined as the SOC triad, if you will. But the best chance of actually improving cyber maturity is when you can do a combination of the 3. So the game changer really for the end customer in this position was, instead of offering just a pure 3 terabyte log ingest into Splunk, the partner positioned Vectra and a 100 gig license that actually generated a multi-million-dollar saving cost to the end customer. The winning bid here was actually Detect for Network from Vectra with an AWS and Azure coverage. And we had a Splunk CM on the cloud. We had CrowdStrike EDR and a Zscaler combination here as well. And this was all for a 36-month and partner buy price. The interesting thing here is that the technology cost is less, quite a bit less than the total deal value that you would add up here. That is because the partner managed services on top was quite significant. This is truly how you can start creating this pull through from technology. You combine it together, and delivering it as a managed service really helps to differentiate and create a great margin opportunity for you as a partner in tying these things together. The standalone CM offering would have been a bit more than north of $11 million, just for your reference as well. So it's quite a lot of money that you're actually saving in doing it this way. And you can then add even additional services if you want to go in the path of more IR type, digital forensics and IR. You can start talking more about vulnerability management and add those as well on top. Then you further move the needle for the end customer, and you're adding even more value to them. So it's an extremely powerful conversation when you start truly finding these intersections between the different technologies, these integrations, and what value they can truly pull through for you as a partner and for the end customer. So to sum this up, some key takeaways, what we believe Vectra then, and actually what our technology ecosystem helps provide for you. It is first around how we actually drive that wallet share element. You can create these pull through of the new technologies and services You can also leverage already made investments by your end customers. If they've already bought either a Vectra, a CrowdStrike, or a Zscaler technology, you can actually create these intersections and integrations and help augment the value of those already made investments. For you as a partner, it's a fantastic opportunity to improve your profitability, stack more services, more technologies, and help reduce the cost of service delivery for yourself. That means you can cater for more customers with the same amount of resource. And it really then helps you to position yourself as a trusted advisor, and you can optimize their budgets and focus on differentiation and optimization, and not just be another me too type of partner that just does what the customer wants or believe that they actually need, I should say. And it's all about better, cheaper, faster. It's about time to value. How can you focus on the best technology with a cheaper total cost of ownership? Like I just showed you here, you could combine multiple different technologies, provide that as a holistic service to the end customer, and still be less expensive than classic ways of doing it. It's all about focusing also on the time to value element, that you need to be the innovator in the eyes of the customer. So I think this was the end of our presentation, Malik. So,
and if I could jump in here, Henrik, just to kind of
sure.
to finish up on what you said, it really is about bringing everyone together. It's not about selling one suite that's very easy for your customer to wrap their heads around. It's really about protecting the customer and being that trusted advisor, like we were talking about. You're able to make these decisions with your customer. You're able to educate them on what it is that is going on currently, and leverage us as the experts for you. CrowdStrike, we're all cybersecurity professionals. Vectra, Zscaler, we are all cybersecurity professionals, whether you're a sales rep or an engineer. This is what we live and breathe. And so I think, like I said, I think that we are here to stop breaches. It's not just CrowdStrike, it's Vectra, it's Zscaler. We're all in alliance together to protect our people. And thank you guys so much for having us on today. Me specifically, I really appreciate getting to speak with everyone today. Thank you for having me here.
Likewise, Ari.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you, Henrik. Thank you, Sid. That was very insightful and such a strong story to tell in terms of alliances. They truly do build solutions. And with that, guys, I'd like to thank all our presenters for their insightful, interesting presentations today. Please make sure you use the virtual booth to dig deeper, ask any follow-up questions, or explore the vendor offerings in detail. Remember our virtual treasure hunt. The more you explore our booths, the higher your chances of winning the next-gen smartphone on offer today. If you want to deep dive into the presented solutions, check out our Imagine Realize agenda with the different sessions in the following weeks. The agenda will continue back in the auditorium with regional partner awards. Thanks a lot, and see you back there in a minute.